and I'm eagerly awaiting Dino Dino Jungle's return in Wave 5 or 6 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass.
You mean DK Mountain?
DK Mountain vs Dino Dino Jungle.
It's more likely than not that only one of them is coming over the other, and I think it will be GCN Dino Dino Jungle. I'm gonna predict DK Mountain in this spot. No, Dino Dino... Hey everyone, I'm Albert Boris. So yeah, which one will be in Wave 6? DK Mountain or Dino Dino Jungle? This is, quite possibly, the last major mystery of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. I can't believe we've come so far. So, a couple of weeks ago, Nintendo aired their annual September Direct, giving us a glimpse of a few upcoming games in the near future. One of which was a teaser trailer for Wave 6, which gave us a sneak peek at one of the 8 courses and the 3 characters introduced, and also Peach Chat. It was a bit of a shocking announcement. Not many people thought we'd see Daisy Circuit in Wave 6, and even fewer people thought they'd show it off right away in this teaser instead of saving it for the full trailer. Because, let's be fair, this killed almost all speculation left for this final wave. Wave 6 isn't really like the others in this DLC. I remember back when Wave 1 was first unveiled, when we had no idea what the Booster Course Pass would have in store for us. And now, after many months of patterns, data mines, and most recently, the end of new Mario Kart Tour content, we know pretty much exactly what to expect from Wave 6. Obviously, we will be getting the last 2 city courses, Rome Avanti and Madrid Drive. Not much denying there. Piranha Plant Cove and Pipeline are obviously also set. Sure, their names are similar, but that's the only parallel, they play completely differently. And even as far as retro courses go, there is not much denying that we will be getting Wii Rainbow Road to finish off the pass, as well as SNES Bowser Castle 3, the only SNES remake in Mario Kart Tour with a significant makeover. Add in Daisy Circuit and that's 7 practically confirmed courses. This is also largely supported by the good old prefix leak. Okay, yeah, I know the prefix leak isn't all that reliable anymore, not after Moonview Highway technically went against it, but hear me out, okay? So yeah, a little background on the prefix leak data mine. At this point, most of us are familiar with the tale. Back when Wave 1 released, data miners were able to gather the console prefixes associated with each upcoming track, and from there on, you all know the story. Wave 2 ended up exactly as anticipated, but then the following waves gradually became more and more different. That said, each course's internal file name still directly correlated with the prefix data mine. As an example, Wii Maple Treeway is referred to as CNSW62, implying it was originally Wave 6's second track, which was a Wii slot in the prefix leak. So it's safe to assume that the prefix leak was the original plan before they changed the order. If we look at the remaining 8 prefixes whose courses aren't in the game yet, the 6 tracks I just mentioned all perfectly fit here. Daisy Circuit is the exception. So here's where it gets a bit tricky. As it turned out, Moonview Highway actually replaced a planned Nitro, as its file name indicates it was gonna be the Acorn Cup's 3rd slot at first. To this day, it's the only known case of a course outright replacing another. Until now. Because similarly, I believe Daisy Circuit will replace a scrapped course as well, in this case, one of the 2 remaining GameCube slots. Because let's be fair, when looking at the available GameCube tracks in Mario Kart Tour left, there's no way we're getting Mushroom Bridge this late or 2 tracks with the exact same theming. That would leave only 1 GameCube slot left. The final mystery. Or well, mystery. It pretty much has to be one of these 2. Now yeah, technically, this slot could end up being scrapped as well, but come on, can we at least have 1 more GameCube track? I mean, jeez, we only have 2 of them so far. I'm gonna assume that it's not scrapped, as there's nothing to indicate that. The consensus is that it's gonna be one of the 2 jungle courses from Mario Kart Double Dash, which is a pretty fair assumption. There's some of the more ambitious and dangerous feeling courses from that game, which would make them a steady fit for the final Booster Course Pass wave. Really, it's not so much a question of if we will get one. They're both in Mario Kart Tour, and as far as things are looking, we have 1 GameCube slot left. The real question is, which one? Truth be told, both tracks have viable reasons for why they would arrive, and would make for a perfect fit in this wave. Largely, what you predict may even just boil down to personal preference, and I wouldn't blame you. Personally, I like Dino Dino Jungle more, so I wanted to dig a bit deeper into this topic myself and try to narrow down which of these 2 is the most likely to make its appearance next wave. So, with all that being said, let's get right into it and look at the arguments for each track. On one side, you have DK Mountain, by far Mario Kart Double Dash's most loved course, often topping people's rankings. Even if it's got a simpler premise, it deservedly holds a special place in millions of hearts. I mean, you're shot by a cannon towards an angry volcano on which you then have to make your way down in a hostile environment. Wave 6, being the final wave, should definitely leave a solid final impression on people, and including one of the most beloved courses of all time in it is an effective way to do it. Now yes, a course being a fan favorite doesn't necessarily guarantee it, but Nintendo has shown time and time where their priorities usually lie, as long as there's a balance. The addition of half-pipes since Mario Kart Wii's remake could also be in DK Mountain's favor. Originally, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe didn't have half-pipes. It was a gimmick exclusive to Mario Kart Wii and Tour, but starting with Wave 3, Nintendo, strangely enough, brought it back. Waves 3 and 4 had 2 tracks with half-pipes each, and Wave 5 had a whopping 4 of them. Again, this isn't a guarantee for DK Mountain, but it's definitely an interesting trend, which could possibly be attributed to Nintendo trying to win over Mario Kart Wii fans. Because let's be fair, they've definitely been trying to do that for a while. They even added half-pipes to tracks like Los Angeles Laps, which didn't even have them in Tour. And while DK Mountain is both in Mario Kart Wii and has half-pipes, it's the best of both worlds for Nintendo. Interestingly enough, only 2 of the 6 courses we talked about for Wave 6 actually had half-pipes in Mario Kart Tour, which would be a pretty dramatic drop from Wave 5's whopping 4, so in that respect, I guess putting DK Mountain in could also at least somewhat make up for that. But yeah, that was for DK Mountain. On the other side of the coin, we have Dino Dino Jungle, the second course of Mario Kart Double Dash's Special Cup. A Special Cup course would certainly suit Wave 6 well, seeing as it would be appropriate to cap off with the most difficult challenges, although to be fair, most of Dino Dino Jungle's difficulty is as a result of Mario Kart Double Dash's slippery controls. It's more manageable in the newer games, although it's still pretty ambitious in its own right, with a stomping dinosaur, geysers, more opportunities for shortcuts, etc. There are even some gliding sections in the remake. For those reasons, it's always been my preferred track of the two, so you can only wonder which one I'd prefer to see. Well, let's hope it has more convincing arguments than DK Mountain. One of the most common arguments for this track's inclusion is the fact that it's referenced on multiple Booster Course Pass tracks in the form of advertisements, namely on Coconut Mall and Squeaky Clean Sprint. However, this doesn't really hold much merit, the way I see it. Coconut Mall in this game, down to the bone, was pretty much ported straight from Mario Kart Tour. It also references Vanilla Lake, which we can safely rule out when this track exists. For Squeaky Clean Sprint, I suppose the advertisement holds a bit more merit. Since it's a newer track with much more effort, you could draw the conclusion that it's a track made with the Booster Course Pass in mind, and hence the reference was intentional. However, it's not uncommon for Nintendo to reference other media in a game, even if they'll never make it. Sunshine Airport has a reference to Koopa Troopa Beach from Mario Kart 64, and that never arrived. So that argument fell apart pretty quickly. What else do I have? Ah, here it is. Another argument in favor of Dino Dino Jungle has to do with a pattern. May I present Peach Gardens. This course has appeared in 3 different Mario Kart games so far: Mario Kart DS, Wii, and now 8 Deluxe. One interesting thing to note about it is the fact that for all its appearances, it was always in the second slot of the last cup of a row. It was the second course of Mario Kart DS's Special Cup. It was also the second track of Mario Kart Wii's Lightning Cup, and now it's also the second track of the Booster Course Pass Moon Cup. It's a peculiar trend. Interestingly, Dino Dino Jungle underwent a similar treatment from Mario Kart Double Dash to Mario Kart 7, and as it turns out from the prefix leak data mine, the second course of the Spinny Cup, CNSW66, was apparently gonna be a GameCube slot at first. And regardless of any patterns, I think it would be a really fitting course there. It's a bit ambitious, but still a bit quiet, making for an atmospheric calm before the storm. Although, this doesn't quite prove anything either. While the Peach Gardens pattern is interesting, it's also important to note that it was originally actually set for the Rock Cup and not the Moon Cup, so it may not be much more than a coincidence. So that argument also fell apart. Come on, there's gotta be something more in this book. Dino Dino Jungle might have one more trick up its sleeve though, so the Peach Gardens pattern may not mean anything. However, as I said earlier in this video, it's still safe to assume that the prefix leak represented the original plan for the Booster Course Pass. Let's assume that the Jungle Course was the GameCube track planned for the Spinny Cup second slot. We can't prove Dino Dino Jungle was planned there, as fitting as it would be, but there is a tiny bit of evidence that DK Mountain was probably not the track in this slot, which would theoretically default it to Dino Dino Jungle. No, it's not Mushroom Bridge. This is because the city track of the Spinny Cup, which would come right before, was originally gonna be Athens Dash. Why did they change that? It was perfect! And now, I'm not saying that Athens Stash and DK Mountain are identical, but they definitely share a lot of elements other courses don't. Cannon, half-pipes, boulders, and even the general mountain setting. Okay, the cannon was removed in 8 Lux, but regardless, I at least think that going from Athens to DK Mountain back to back would be a bit redundant. So, is that it? Is Dino Dino Jungle inevitable? Oh, if only it was. Remember how I said there were 2 remaining GameCube slots? There's CNSW66 in the Spin Cup, but there's also CNSW56 in the Cherry Cup. Obviously, Daisy Circuit is replacing one of them, but we don't know which one for sure. DK Mountain clashing with Athens only matters if the jungle course was planned for Wave 6, which is not actually confirmed. But who said the jungle course can't be the one planned for Wave 5? Right now, the common theory is that Daisy Circuit replaced Mushroom Bridge, which was gonna be in Wave 5, whereas the jungle course was the one planned for Wave 6. However, I'm gonna be blunt and propose something entirely different. Mushroom Bridge was never planned to begin with. At its core, this is a very simple track. 3 smooth turns on a short highway with a bright and grassy theme. Even if the original prefix order isn't perfect, I have a hard time thinking they'd planned this track to be in the penultimate wave of the entire pass. Especially when Daisy Cruiser, a more compelling fan favorite, was planned for Wave 4 as per its file name. Instead, I'm gonna go bold and say that CNSW56, Wave 5's GameCube track, is actually the jungle course. Meanwhile, Wave 6's GameCube track was something entirely different that got scrapped from Mario Kart Tour. On average, the later waves of the Booster Course Pass have definitely been planned much less thoroughly. Whereas Wave 2 was down to the bone identical to the original plan, Wave 5, nearly a year later, only has 3 courses originally meant for it, and they're not even in the original placements. And Wave 6 is definitely looking to be the least planned one. After all, it was a Wave 6 track that got scrapped in favor of Moonview Highway. For that reason, it feels a bit more reasonable that Daisy Circuit would replace the GameCube course in Wave 6 as opposed to Wave 5, which was closer in the future and arguably had a more complete plan. And so, if Daisy Circuit is CNSW66, it doesn't matter if the Dino Dino Jungle fits it better, or that DK Mountain would clash with Athens, because in the end, the jungle course was never planned for that spot anyways. And sadly, this would kinda reduce Dino Dino Jungle's chances. Most of the arguments in favor of this track revolve around it being originally planned for Wave 6, which I don't personally believe it was anymore. On the contrary, DK Mountain doesn't really have anything pointing against it, besides the very slim risk of clashing with Athens, and even then, they removed the cannon from Athens, and what if it's because they were planned back to back anyways? But yeah, otherwise, it doesn't really have any hinders. It's one of the most loved Mario Kart courses from the entire series, and it would appeal to not just GameCube fans, but also Wii fans. Perfect for the final wave. And that's why I believe that we will be seeing DK Mountain over Dino Dino Jungle in Wave 6 of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass. I'm sorry Dino Dino Jungle, I failed you. Personally, I would have much rather picked Dino Dino Jungle, considering it's a bit more ambitious and unique. But hey, you can't always get what you want. And honestly, Wave 6's course selection isn't really looking to be all that hype. Even though it's the grand finale, the only big fan favorite of the 7 obvious tracks I can see is Wii Rainbow Road. The other tracks? I don't know. Bowser Castle 3 may be a glow-up, but deep down it's still a SNES track. Piranha Plant Cove and Pipeline are nowhere near as ambitious as earlier nitros like Yoshi's Island or Squeak Clean Sprint. And as much as I like a Daisy Circuit, it's still a circuit and a pretty simple track. Lastly, most people don't really like city tracks sadly, so honestly, I'd actually be inclined to argue that DK Mountain is a necessity for marketing. I'm not sure Rainbow Road could carry Wave 6 on its own. And so, those were all of the reasons why I think DK Mountain will end up in Wave 6 over Dino Dino Jungle. But what is your prediction? Did you agree with me or not? If you like this video then make sure to like, share and subscribe to my channel as I talk about everything Mario related. With all that being said, I'm signing off. Until next time.